Today we celebrate the Feast of Pentecost. We commemorate the outpouring of the Holy Spirit that took place on the day of Pentecost. As we do so, we reflect anew on the deeper significance of this event for our faith, for our mission as Christians in today's world, and for our day-to-day lives as people who have also received the Holy Spirit. This year we do so against the background of a world that is in the grip of the coronavirus pandemic. For many of us in our part of the world, this pandemic and the measures taken to deal with it have put us in a very unsettling situation where we find our world turned upside down in many unexpected ways. We all live with constant fear and anxiety, not knowing how we are going to be affected by this situation, and realizing that the future we face is going to be challenging in so many unprecedented ways. Understandably, this experience has thrown many of us into a situation of darkness, in which even our faith in God is being tested, maybe as never before. What may be the message of Pentecost to us in the midst of this current worldwide experience? In this regard, it may help to ask ourselves what the experience of Pentecost was for the first disciples of Jesus in the context in which they found themselves at the time. What did the coming of the Holy Spirit do to them and for them? How did they understand their mission as people who had experienced the outpouring of the Holy Spirit? Let us start at the beginning of the story. We find them locked up in an upper room, cowering in fear. They were keenly aware of the danger of persecution and possible death which they faced in the wake of the crucifixion and death of Jesus Christ, their leader in faith. Furthermore, their dream for a changed world that they had hoped that the Messiah, Jesus the Christ, would usher in, had been shattered. The two disciples on the road to Emmaus expressed this disillusionment in a very touching way to the guest who had suddenly joined them on their journey. They say, "We had hoped that he, this Jesus, was the one who was going to redeem Israel. But that has all come to naught. And what is more, it is now the third day since all this took place, and nothing has changed." And so they were disillusioned. In fact, they were abandoning their faith and their mission as a result of this shattered dream. They had turned their backs on Jerusalem, moving away. But then something wonderful happened to the disciples when the Holy Spirit came down and entered into them in the form of tongues of fire. The hitherto discouraged and disillusioned disciples suddenly changed and underwent a radical transformation. They gained courage and strength. They regained a new perspective on their calling and mission. Suddenly, they opened the closed doors of the upper room where they had locked themselves up. They rushed out to the gathered crowds and began fearlessly proclaiming to them the wonderful and life-giving message of the resurrection, the marvels that God had done in raising up Jesus Christ from the dead. Note that nothing had changed in their external circumstances. They still faced the danger of persecution by the religious and political powers of the time. But with the coming of the Holy Spirit, something changed drastically in their hearts and in the depths of their being. They realized that they were not alone, that the presence of God was with them through the Holy Spirit. And this gave them the unwavering conviction that the divine power that was at work in Jesus Christ was in the same way at work in them as well. So they regained courage and were not overwhelmed anymore by the darkness and the dangers they faced. The God of the risen Christ became for them a refuge and strength, a helper close at hand in time of distress. So they did not fear anymore, though they continued to face darkness and danger, for the Holy Spirit had become for them a stronghold in the depths of their being. As we celebrate Pentecost today, let us also invite the Holy Spirit again to take possession of us, of our minds and hearts. Let us reconnect with the Holy Spirit who is present in us and in the whole world. Let us regain courage and a new perspective as we face our own darkness and danger as we go through the storm of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let us tune into the silent and yet powerful voice of the Holy Spirit and discern where the Spirit is in what is going on around us and what it is that the Holy Spirit is calling us to do at this time. Let us not get lost in and be confused and unduly unsettled by the cacophony of the many voices that saturate the atmosphere we live in. Voices that are often contradictory, conflicting, and more often than not, shaped by certain hidden self-centered motives and agendas. Like an electrical cord that remains plugged onto the electricity socket on the wall, let us always remain, as it were, plugged into the Holy Spirit, who is always present in us and around us. Let our faith in the God of the risen Christ always give us the assurance that while we may not know what the future holds for us, we know who holds the future, God. Our future is indeed always in God's hands. Let this faith hold and carry us as we face the present challenges. Secondly, the first disciples who had experienced the outpouring of the Holy Spirit at Pentecost gained a clear perspective on what their vocation and mission in the world and in their situation was. They knew that they had to become living and enthusiastic witnesses of the presence and the working of God in the world. Like the prophet Isaiah of old, they understood that by receiving the Holy Spirit, they had been made into agents of life. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, said the prophet, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the afflicted. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to captives and freedom to prisoners. They experience themselves as called to be agents of life, agents of love and caring, agents of reconciliation. As we celebrate Pentecost today, we are reminded that this is our mission too as the present-day disciples of the risen Christ. We are called to be living witnesses of the presence of the living God, whose work is essentially to enable all to have life and have it to the full. Let us therefore recommit ourselves to preserve the life and the well-being of all, especially those who are most needy and most vulnerable in our midst. Let us resolve to avoid doing anything or wittingly or unwittingly creating any situation that has even the slightest possibility of endangering the life and well-being of others at this time. Let each of us resolve anew to take full personal responsibility for our actions and to exercise discipline so as to not put ourselves or others at the risk of infection by the coronavirus. This is the most appropriate and concrete way to practice love of our neighbor in our present circumstances. Come, Holy Spirit, fill the hearts of your faithful, and kindle in them the fire of your love. Send forth your Spirit, and they shall be created, and you will renew the face of the earth. Amen.
Amen.